Well, I'm buying beer because we finally got 35 deflections. And we needed it. Montrez got 11. We needed the deflections tonight because our defense had a winner for us. The reason we got off to such a bad start, I haven't seen our guys do this, on every drive to the basket, including Montrez, we were trying to lean into the guy to draw the foul, and it was taking us out of our offensive rhythm by doing that. And then when you have a start like that, the guys start to panic and they don't want to shoot, as Chris Jones had a wide open three. But in the second half, I said, let's just play defense every possession. We will win the game. Get our deflections picked up, because we had 20 at halftime. And that's what I want to see. And I was telling Doris that this conference reminds me much more of the Big East than what I thought it would be with the ACC. You know, you think of the ACC, you think of Duke, North Carolina, and transition basketball the whole night, and it's much more like Georgetown, Pittsburgh, the Big East. So there are the few teams that'll run, but you know, Clemson, Florida State, us, Miami, because we try to run, but we don't shoot it great. But it takes that type of defense to win in this conference, because we knew what was at stake for Miami. We knew what was at stake. You just turn on the television, that's all they talk about, the teams that have to win this game. And Miami played great defense, played a winning game. We just made some really good defensive plays down the stretch. And then Terry, I just kept telling him, don't get down, don't get down. You're going to make big shots at the end, and he did.
Rick, you've been talking about deflections and Terry's deflection that kind of gave you guys the ball back that, you know, led to you guys taking the final lead. Just how big was that play?
I mean, that's, when you think of deflection, that's coach talk. But just what you're saying wins the game. It wins the game. Just getting a fingernail on the ball wins the game. And you know, Chris amazed me, sort of, Chris and Montrez both, because how hard they had to work the whole game. And their conditioning's amazing. Chris was well rested.
Chris stepped up and hit 3 big free throws there at the end as well, after playing 40 minutes.
Yeah, he hit a big 3 too. Big 3. Now, I'm going to Mass tomorrow to pray to the Lord that he makes that the one for the second half of the season.
How big is this for confidence, just to go off with a
smile?
Well,
I said they needed a win. Look, we needed a win. I knew how important this game was. We needed a win. But I think what it did for us, it taught us the significance of our hands, our feet. I thought that Nanu and Mango both did a great job when our guards got picked of sliding, and then blocking at the end. I thought they did a great job of that. I thought we did a great job of limiting the number of threes they could take. In the second half, we played much better offense. Then look, they took away a lot of our options, and you know, we got some backdoor plays wide open, and we missed 2 bunnies, which can happen when you don't get off to a good start.
How about the boost you got from Nanu on the offensive glass in the second half?
Big.
Like every messy.
Big. He's really improving. His hands are getting better. He's improving, and so is Anas. So is Shaquan, and so is Jalen. They're all improving. And you know why they get a lot better is, you know, you don't see it because I don't play Jalen, but Jalen's going against Montrezl Harrell every single day, and that's great. And then Q is going against Chris Jones every single day. So it's very tough to guard Chris Jones, and Q's going to, if he can get to the point where he can stop Chris Jones, he'll stop anybody. So it's great for these kids.
You seemed pretty frustrated with Shaquan on Wednesday, and he played 9 minutes today. What happened?
He practiced like a Louisville basketball player. That's all he did. He practiced. He showed a great attitude. I'm sure his father and mother got after him because I had a conversation with him. And you don't mess with those parents. I'm being serious.
What did you see of the first half, the flagrant they called on Montrez? Did you
It was
see
a good call. I watched it. Here's the rule. They deemed it was intentional. Montrez was falling back, and he threw it, and it hit the guy's face. Here's the ironic thing about that situation. So I was fine with it. You want to call? Just call. Stop going for 4 minutes. Call it. I'll live it. I said, you're breaking the game up. You're giving them 2 timeouts. Here's the ironic thing. Coach Levernagel walked over to the officials from his bench all the way to the other side. I've never seen that. And I wanted to know what it was. I said, what is it? He says, well, he wanted to let me know that the big guy has a concussion on that play. I said, for what motive? I said to the official, what motive do you need to know that? Oh, I said, I got it now, and I'll repeat something I said, and then I said, wait a second, he's back in the game, so I just called, this is no BS, I just called Bobby Pitino and said, get a hold of that Miami doctor, because in 15 minutes, a kid went from a concussion to playing and totally healthy. So, you know, we're sending the plane down to hire that doctor and get him out for football. We will never have a concussion ever again. Because he was back 3-4 minutes later, but he walked over to tell me he had a concussion, and he was back in the game. So we're going to get to the bottom of this, what this doctor does, because I told those doctors in there, your job's in jeopardy.
Did you get the sense, though, I mean, that stopped the game for a minute, but really that's when the crowd got involved in the game?
Yeah, you know, the officials, it's a tough call, because now they're interpreting whether Montrez meant, you know, it's tough, and they're talking about it. I thought he was losing his balance, and I tried to throw it off, and he hit his head by mistake. But I'll live with it because he hit him in his face, and then I said, okay, he's got a concussion. Now, you got to live with it. You got to live with it. And came back in the game.
Coach Larinaga seemed to imply there's an unwritten rule where you don't throw it at somebody's face, you throw it at their legs. Is that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I really don't think, and you got to ask Montrez, I don't think he was trying to do it. You do try to bang it off the guy's legs, but I think if he wasn't losing his balance, but he did it. It's a flagrant foul, and so on.
How did Wayne respond from Wednesday night? Pretty poor performance on his part, just emotionally coming out, 10 points, big contribution.
I just keep telling Wayne more and more, drive to the basket, son, drive to the basket. You'll have big nights when you drive to the basket, and he's doing a better job of that. You know, I just think Wayne, I think he's having a very good year. I base it not only in the games, but practice. He's playing really good basketball. I think Montrez, Chris, and Terry, you know, what we learned tonight was, Terry, don't let, against North Carolina State, Terry and Chris let their offense completely take them out of their defense. And they learned a valuable lesson that helped us win tonight because we kept playing defense. And I think the team really grew tonight and understand the significance of deflections in defense. And rebounding, because we did a great job of rebounding the basketball in the second half.
You touched on his play earlier, but Chris Jones, is this the type of performance you want out of him the rest of the way?
I think he's having a conference play. I think he's playing great. You know, I think Montrez and Chris have been our two best players in conference play. It's really amazing what he can do in dogging the basketball. And, you know, sometimes he tries to cop a blow on the weak side, and what happens is man cuts back door and he loses him. But, you know, they're a team that just runs a lot of high pick and rolls, and it's not easy to defend. So look, Chris is, I had a couple players a while ago that were a problem, and I didn't like coaching. The reason I didn't like coaching were not the problems that they brought me, was they didn't work hard. See, I could deal with a lot of problems, and we'll try to correct them and try to get them to own up and be a Louisville man. What I don't like is when somebody doesn't work hard at their game. Chris works hard at this game, all the time. And that's why I appreciate him, because is it fun to coach him? Not like Russ Smith, there's not a lot of laughter coaching him, but you appreciate how hard he works. So you give him some latitude when things don't go well, and he comes out of the game. He came out of the game tonight, actually didn't pout for the first time, which is awesome. He just sat down, and I said, "You ready to go in?" He said, "Yes." And so now we took the next step.
Quick turnaround now for Monday night.
Yeah, and Georgia Tech is the type of team that can beat anybody in a given night if you don't get them on the up-tempo situation. But you look at Florida State, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, Miami in this game, us. You know, it's grind them out games, and we got to get it. But they played today too, so it's no big deal.
Why do you think there were more deflections today? I mean, were you guys more energy, or?
We talked about it so much. I think they don't want to hear that word again. They really don't. And we talked about it. That was my whole pregame speech about that. I said, if a coach told me that after 8 years in the NBA and 29 years, I've been doing this now for 40 years, keeping the deflection show since Boston University, and with 100 NBA games, if a coach tells me that if you get 35 and you don't give up an abnormal number of threes, you're going to win 95% of your games, how can you not get that? How can you not get that? Now, Luke Hancock wasn't the quickest guy in the world. But Peyton and Rusk averaged anywhere from 8 to 11. So I think they'll get it tonight. But it's really, really important because it's a barometer for how much pressure you're putting on the ball. It leads to steals, it leads to run-outs, and break situations.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you.
Thank you.